Starvation of the Soul: How Overconsumption Leaves Us Empty. Most people think starvation is only about food, but the greatest starvation in the modern world isn't in the body, it's in the soul. And ironically, it's not caused by lack. It's caused by too much noise, too much striving, too much pressure to accumulate more. Success, validation, comparison, status. We have more information than ever. More productivity tools, more hacks, more apps, more noise in our ears telling us what to do, what to chase, who to be. And yet, there's a collective exhaustion we can't seem to shake, a quiet despair that lingers even in moments of achievement, because our energy is leaking into 1,000 directions, and we've forgotten how to feel full. Chapter 75 of the Tao Te Ching. When people are starving, it is because their governments take too much, causing them to starve. When people are hard to control, it is because of the contrivances of their governments, which make them hard to control. When people slight death, it is because of the earnestness with which they seek life that makes them slight death. Only those who do not contrive to live are wise in valuing life. This chapter of the Tao Te Ching exposes a hard truth. The starvation we feel isn't just personal, it's systemic. It happens when external forces, like governments or cultures, take too much. But Lao Tzu, in his brilliance, shows us something deeper. That spiritual starvation arises when we overreach. When we try too hard to secure life through control, we start starving the very part of us that needs stillness, not strategy. When people are starving, it is because their governments take too much, causing them to starve. When people are hard to control, it is because of the contrivances of their governments. Only those who do not contrive to live are wise in valuing life. Let's look at this through the lens of your life, not just as a political metaphor, but a practice, because what you govern is your own mind, your own choices, your own inner state. And many of us are starving because our internal governance is oppressive. We don't give ourselves space to breathe. We drive ourselves from one outcome to the next. Even our so-called self-care is often just another checkbox on the productivity list. This isn't about laziness versus effort. It's about alignment versus over-control. When you try to micromanage life, you miss the magic of it, and slowly, you become disconnected from the very energy that brings peace and power. Let me share a story from one of my students. We'll call him Marcus. He was a successful executive, in the classic sense. He had wealth, power, influence, and an elite fitness routine that started at 4 a.m. every day. But under all that structure, he was quietly unraveling. His relationships were strained. He was battling low-grade anxiety that wouldn't go away. And despite winning, he felt like he was starving inside. He came to me not to learn Tai Chi or breath work, but to learn how to feel again, how to find something real, something that wasn't just performance, and what helped him wasn't pushing harder. It was yielding. We stripped back all the noise. Just 20 minutes a day of presence-based training, no apps, no optimization, just breath, stillness, awareness. And within a few weeks, he started crying in one of our standing meditations, not from sadness, but from relief. Because for the first time in decades, he wasn't starving. He felt something real, something alive. He had reconnected to his essence. This is what Chapter 75 is whispering to you. Stop overfeeding the surface of your life and start nourishing the center of it. You don't need more to feel full. You need less. But that less must be sacred. It must be practiced. It must be aligned with something deeper than ego or ambition. When you chase life too earnestly, you begin to fear death more than necessary. That fear makes you cling to things, title, accomplishments, and schedules, routines. Even the illusion of being in control becomes its own addiction. But the Tao teaches a different form of wealth. It teaches that what is truly yours is what you can let go of. Because when you let go and still feel whole, you're free. And when you're free, you stop starving for things that never really fed you in the first place. This kind of practice is not taught in most leadership seminars or in performance circles, and because it's not flashy, it's not about dopamine hits or quick wins, it's about depth. And the deeper you go, the less you need. And the less you need, the more powerful you become. That's what we mean by creating an evolving life practice. You don't need to quit your job or abandon the world, but you do need to come back to yourself, to create space where being is just as valuable as doing, where emptiness is not a void, but a source, where less becomes the gateway to more. Think of your nervous system like a garden. When you flood it with inputs and try to force growth, things wither. But when you water it mindfully, give it space, sunlight, and simplicity, the roots grow deep, and the fruit comes in season, without struggle. This isn't just poetic philosophy, it's biology. When you overconsume, your digestion slows. When you overthink, your clarity fades. When you overtrain, your muscles break down. When you overspend your energy chasing results, your spirit gets starved, and yet, with even just a few minutes of stillness each day, you can reverse the process. You can reset. You can begin again from presence, not pressure. That's the secret. Not to fight the world, but to reclaim your energy from the 1,000 tiny leaks that keep you hollow, and to learn how to govern yourself with grace instead of grind. So ask yourself this now. Where in your life are you starving? Not for food, but for meaning. Where are you overfed with information but undernourished in wisdom? Where are you drowning in motion but thirsty for stillness? You may not need a vacation or a new achievement. You may just need space, silence, and practice. Not the kind of practice that earns applause, but the kind that helps you remember who you are beneath the noise. Let me offer you a short story from a student I once worked with. She was a high-performing executive, ran a team of 60, had 2 homes, a beautiful family, and not a single moment of peace. On paper, she was thriving. But inside, she told me, I feel like I'm always running from something, and I'm starting to forget what I'm running toward. She was exhausted, not from work, but from trying to outrun the emptiness that came with never stopping. So we didn't start with strategy, and we didn't focus on productivity, and we started with her breath. Just 10 minutes a day of yielding warrior breath work, softening her body, allowing herself to stop, to be. 3 weeks in, something shifted. She told me, for the first time in years, I felt joy while drinking a cup of tea. I wasn't multitasking. I wasn't waiting for the next call. I was just here. That is the beginning of real nourishment. Not the kind that fills your calendar, but the kind that fills your soul. And that's what chapter 75 reminds us. That when people are starving, it's not always food they lack. It's the hunger of misalignment, the hunger of over-effort, the hunger of forgetting their true nature. When you live in a system that pulls you into overdrive, your greatest act of power is to slow down and return to yourself, not to drop out of life, but to live it more deeply, more intentionally, more truthfully. So let me leave you with a simple action item today. Create a stillness audit. Here's how it works. Tonight before bed, take out a pen and paper. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Where in my life am I forcing something that no longer feels aligned? 2. What is one area of life I've overfed and one I've starved? 3. What small daily reset can I add to my morning or evening to nourish my spirit? Don't overthink it. Even 5 minutes of quiet breath work or 10 minutes of movement without music or distraction can begin the rewiring. The goal isn't perfection, it's practice. The path isn't performance, it's presence. And the gift isn't productivity, it's peace. Because when you stop starving your soul, when you nourish the subtle self, everything else begins to flourish, not from pressure, but from the power of being fully here. Now, if you're ready to go deeper, to stop starving for meaning and start living it, click the link below and try our 2-week trial. Inside, you'll learn how to create an evolving life practice using the meditative arts, breathwork, movement, philosophy, and daily resets that nourish your physical, mental, and emotional health from the inside out. You've done enough grinding. It's time to start growing. Click below. Your life practice is waiting.